And Paul Bishop gets this Slalom Lager Championship match underway. He kicks deep and it's taken by Steve Moylan. The ground today is sea of mud as we have torrential rain for the last 2 hours here at the Wells. Salford playing out through the forwards at the moment. That's number 12 Ian Blease. Well tackled though by Mark Roberts and Tom Gittins. This time it's played to number 12 Ian Blease. It's a long kick and Brian Johnson, the Warrington fullback, in his own 25, fumbles the ball but it goes backwards, but the referee then changed his decision and a knock on there by Brian Johnson, the Warrington fullback, and a scrum down in the Warrington 25. Obviously the conditions today are going to play a big part in the action as the Salford scrum half Darren Blur prepares to feed. But referee today, Mr. Fox, at the moment, not happy with the scrums, and the free kick to Salford. And Boyd, Les Boyd there and Steve Herbert's having a bit of a disagreement there in the scrum. But it will be a free kick to Salford. And coming over is standoff Peter Glynn, and he puts that one into touch. So Salford on the attack inside the Warrington 25. This time it's Gary Disley charges in. Disley still going. Takes 3 Warrington players to stop him. Couple of yards from the Warrington line. Steve Moylan acting halfback this time onto Darren Blow. Blow goes himself, but is well caught by Tom Gittins. Steve Moylan again. Run around move. Steve Herbert coming through. Good tackle though by Bob Jackson. Moylan acting halfback once more. Long pass out to Darren Blow, but Blow's well tackled by Brian Johnson.
I don't think Moylan's playing.
Peter Glynn. Ian Blease, long pass out, chance here. Paul Fletcher coming up and there's a chance, but Kane O'Loughlin just couldn't get his pass out, but this is the 6th tackle for Salford. It's played back to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn with a little chip, and it's well cleared by Paul Bishop. So Salford having the early pressure. 6 tackles there in the Warrington 25, but coming to nothing. So Warrington to drop out from under their own posts. Paul Bishop, left-footed. Will be picked up by Salford fullback Paul Fletcher. Paul Fletcher going across field, but meets Ken Kelly and Tommy Gittins. Steve Moylan once again acting halfback. Onto John Pendlebury. Nice pass there to Mick McTeague, but well tackled, but he gets the ball away. Darren Blow, nice pass out there to John Pendlebury, but he meets Les Boyd and Mark Roberts, who push him back some 5 to 10 yards. This time it's Moylan. Goes left this time, but there's no support, and he's well tackled by Tom Gittins and Bob Jackson. Peter Glynn this time acting halfback. Sends it left to Gary Disley. Disley, but once again well tackled this time by Tommy Gittins. Moylan once again onto Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn with the little kick through. And Brian Johnson takes it in his own try area and well gets away from Ian Marsh. Brian Johnson coming out before he's finally tackled by John Pendlebury. This time it's Tamata onto Jackson. Jackson though shrugs off McTeague. This time it's Tamata acting halfback onto Bishop to Gittins. Gittins nice pass it to Les Boyd, and Les Boyd's got a break. Les Boyd going through. Gets it on to Kelly, but Kelly can't hold the pass, and Mick McTeague retrieves the ball for Salford. But a nice break there by Les Boyd, but Salford back in possession. Mike Gregory in the tackle there for Warrington on Gerald Byrne. Moylan this time. Nice run there by John Pendlebury. Brought down by Mark Foster. Moylan. Beasley back inside to Steve Herbert. 3 Warrington players once more in the tackle. Moylan once again, this time acting halfback. Onto Darren Blow. Peter Glynn. Back to Darren Blow. Long pass out to Mick McTeague, but a good tackle there by Ken Kelly. Anticipated the pass well. Ian Beasley. But Kelly has him, but he gets the ball away. Peter Glynn cuts back inside. Before he's taken by Les Boyd, and that's the turnover. And Mark Roberts will play the ball for Warrington. Les Boyd onto Kevin Tamata. Takes play inside the Salford half, but he's being pushed back by 3 Salford players. McTeague, Pendlebury all in the tackle. This time, Mike Gregory. On to Gittins. Out to Jackson. And Jackson's well brought down by Steve Herbert. Paul Bishop once again acting halfback. On to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory beats one tackle. He's got Paul Bishop looking up, but can't take the pass. Ian Marsh fumbles the ball. Mark Roberts picked it up, but referee Mr. Fox indicates the first offence was the knock-on. So a scrum down. 10 yards inside the Salford half. Darren Blow to feed. Ball comes out to Salford, but referee Fox not happy with the scrum. And this time the free kick goes to Warrington. Feet up in the scrum, so Paul Bishop. Once again, left-footed, takes play once again, this time into the Salford 25. Ken Kelly take the second part of the penalty. On to Tamati, run around move here. Bishop back to Kelly, on to Les Boyd looking for the gap. Inside he's got Brian Johnson with him, and Brian Johnson will score at the post. Great try from a set move for Warrington. Try scorer Brian Johnson. Good move there from Warrington. Throwing the ball about, Les Boyd went for the gap and got the ball away to Brian Johnson. And Johnson went in under the post for the first try of the match. Warrington 4, Salford 0. And the fair contingent from Warrington, appreciating that try from Brian Johnson. So Brian Carbett should have no trouble with this conversion attempt right in front of the posts. And no trouble indeed, so Brian Carbett scores the goal and Warrington take a 6 points to 0 lead. So Salford to restart. And a long kick by Ian Blease, and it's a good kick. But Brian Carbett catches it well. But as he took that ball, he slipped, went dead, and Warrington will have to drop out. So Paul Bishop with the dropout. It's a poor one. It's taken by loose forward Mick McTeague. McTeague goes straight, but it's tackled by Tommy Gittins and Mark Roberts. Steve Moylan acting halfback. On to Gary Disley. Disley's well tackled though. Salford on the attack. Steve Moylan. Ian Blease, long pass to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn dummies, and he's well tackled by Bob Jackson. Darren Blow this time acting halfback. Ian Blease changes direction, and Steve Herbert can't take the pass, but Steve Moylan retrieves it for Salford, but he loses the ball, and Kevin Tamati comes away with it. A long pass out to Rick Thackeray. Rick Thackeray takes it well, and he's pushed into touch. And it'll be a scrum down 10 yards out, just outside the Warrington 25. It'll be Paul Bishop to feed. Passes it to Darren Blow. And referee Fox sending the scrum back as Blow feeds for Salford. And the Salford ball, Peter Glynn. A long pass out to Paul Fletcher coming up the full black. Fletcher beats two men, gets it out, but a knock on there by the centre, Gerard Byrne. But the touch judge on, Mr. Richmond. And he's calling over Paul Cullen, Warrington centre. And a free kick to Salford. Peter Glynn puts the ball into touch once more inside the Warrington 25. Steve Moylan will take the tap. On to Gary Disley. Gary Disley runs forward but meets Bob Jackson and Tommy Gittins. Moylan acting half-back, sends it right, this time with Darren Blow. Darren Blow, long pass out to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn, this time to Jerry Byrne, beats one tackle. Still going, makes it into the Warrington 25 before he's tackled by Paul Bishop. And slow there by Salford. Warrington well up in defence. Moylan once more, and this time a little bit too quick up. And offside against Warrington, gives Salford the free kick. So Ian, please. To the right of the post, will attempt to put Salford's first points on the board. And his penalty attempt goes wide. So the score remains Warrington 6, Salford 0. So Paul Bishop to drop out from his own 25. Ian Marsh takes it for Salford. He's brought down just inside the Warrington half. Steve Moylan once again acting half-back to Blease. Darren Blow, nice pass inside to John Pendlebury, but he's well tackled. Moylan once more to Blow. Blease, but he's well tackled there by Bob Jackson and Mike Gregory. Moylan once again acting half-back, plays it back to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn with the long kick. Johnson and Carbett with it, and Brian Carbett takes it well. And he's tackled by Moylan, Byrne and Roy Wiltshire. Mark Foster. Mark Foster running straight, clears his own 25. This time it's Tamati acting half-back. Sends it to Bishop. Tommy Gittins this time. He's well tackled by McTeague. This time it's Tamati once more to Bishop. Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly. And Ken Kelly's well tackled by John Pendlebury. Bishop once more acting half-back onto Tamati. Tamati back inside to Mark Foster. Mark Foster looking for the gap, but meets Mick McTeague, but he gets away from him. Mark Foster still going. Mick takes place at the Salford half, but a good tackle by the Salford fullback Paul Fletcher. This is the 6th tackle. Jackson. Bishop. Bishop with the kick. Looks a good one. And makes it into touch. Good kick there by Paul Bishop. The ball beating Ian Marsh. And a scrum down inside the Salford 25. So Paul Bishop feeds. Ball comes out on the Warrington side, but referee Fox not satisfied with the scrum. And a free kick to Warrington. And Paul Bishop puts the ball into touch, so Warrington now on the attack. Inside the Salford 25, Tamati will take it. Run around movement, Les Boyd going through, but just slips as he was about to be tackled. Tamati this time will be acting half-back. Sends it out to Bishop, to Kelly. Kelly inside to Gittins. Gittins gets it back to Ken Kelly, to Mike Gregory, but Mike Gregory's tackled as soon as he gets the ball by Peter Glynn. Paul Cullen this time goes himself across field and makes no ground. Tamati once more goes himself and is well tackled by John Pendlebury. This time it's Gittins, Bishop, Kelly. Kelly with the kick, and it's well taken by Paul Fletcher. Fletcher coming out of his own 25. It's brought down by Ken Kelly and Paul Bishop. This time it's Mick McTeague. McTeague though well tackled by Tommy Gittins. Steve Moylan this time, acting halfback. Drops the ball but it goes backwards. Ian Blease going himself. Gets the ball away to Moylan, but Moylan's well tackled by Mike Gregory and Ken Kelly. Darren Blow to Peter Glynn. To Glynn dummies. Long pass out to Steve Herbert. Steve Herbert now with a break. He's got many this side of him. Steve Herbert still going on to Darren Blow. Darren Blow going for the line. Great tackle by Mark Foster. A great retrieving by Brian Carbett. What a tackle there from Mark Foster. And Mark Foster in fact has injured himself in that tackle. And Brian Carbett retrieves the ball for Warrington. This time it's Jackson. Jackson coming away with the ball, finally brought down. This time it'll be Tamati acting halfback onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd going straight. Brought down just on the Warrington 25. This time it's Tamati. Tamati inside to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory with the break. Back onto Tommy Gittins. Tommy Gittins, but just can't get the ball away as he's brought down. Still going though. Still two Salford players in the tackle. Tamati this time sends it left with Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly to Bishop. Bishop onto Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts beats one man. Mark Roberts is away. Gets it back to Paul Bishop. Paul Bishop still going. Inside to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly nice pass to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory back to Tamati. Picked up by Les Boyd. Les Boyd gets it out to Brian Johnson. Great move this from Warrington. Johnson's going. Long pass out to Brian Camp. He's only got Glenn to beat. He's going. What a try! What a fantastic try there from Brian Carbett. Great play. The ball must have passed through plenty of hands. The ball was kept going and Brian Carbett goes in for a great try in the corner to make it Warrington 10, Salford 0. What a great try. Superb handling from Warrington. So Warrington 10, Salford 0. A great play from Warrington, especially that final pass from Johnson to Carbett, and Carbett went past Peter Glynn in the corner. So Brian Carbett now will try and convert his own try. Out on this near touchline. Difficult kick. And goes to the right of the posts. So Salford 0, Warrington 10. So Salford to restart with Ian Blease. Well stopped by Mark Roberts. Runs in though to Roy Wiltshire, who brings him down well. Jackson onto Mike Gregory, coming in hard. Beats one man, still going. Finally brought down by Wingman. Roy Wiltshire, good run from Mike Gregory there. This time it's Tamati acting halfback to Bishop. Onto Tommy Gittins, but Gittins beats one man. Finally tackled though by Gary Disley. Tamati once more on to Paul Bishop. To Jackson. Jackson though backtracking. And two Salford players quickly in the tackle. Darren Blow. Tamati this time onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd shugs off one man onto Mark Foster. Mark Foster coming inside, beats one man. Finally brought down by Steve Moylan. Sixth tackle for Warrington. Paul Bishop. Bishop with the kick. Well taken though by Paul Fletcher, the Salford fullback. But Fletcher meets Tamati, but he gets away from him. Fletcher going, he's got the length of the field. Good tackle though by Les Boyd. On the halfway line, Steve Moylan onto Peter Glynn. Darren Blow this time for Salford. Long pass onto Kieran O'Loughlin, but O'Loughlin could find no way through. Darren Blow onto Peter Glynn. Steve Herbert, but it's brought down once more. Moylan to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn though drops the ball. And it will be scrummed down just inside the Salford half. So this time it'll be Paul Bishop to feed. So Paul Bishop feeds, but referee Fox not happy with the scrum, and in fact the free kick goes to Salford. So Peter Glynn to put the ball into touch, and he does that successfully. So Salford in possession, halfway between the halfway and Warrington 25. Steve Herbert, and well tackled though by Paul Cullen and Rick Thackeray. Darren Blow this time, long pass to Peter Glynn, on to Ian Blease, but Ian Blease falls as he takes that pass and Ken Kelly's on him immediately. This time it's McTeague, on to John Pendlebury, beats one tackle, still going, good run, finally tackled by Mark Foster. Gerald Bryan, Kieran O'Loughlin. That's a nice pass from Peter Glynn, but a good tackle from Paul Cullen on Darren Blow straight away. Good tackle from Cullen, quickly up on play. This time it's Steve Moylan. Moylan goes himself, nice pass to Fletcher. Fletcher, wild pass out, but it'll be taken by Pendlebury. Out to Gerald Bryan. Gerald Bryan going out, inside, and Brian Carbett can't take the pass. And it'll be a knock on, and strum down. Just below our commentary position. Salford scrum half, Darren Blow to feed. And a free kick to Warrington. Referee judging that Darren Blow didn't retire at the scrum. And Paul Bishop with the free kick, and he puts that into touch just inside the Salford half. It'll be Kevin Tamati to take the tap. On to Jackson. Jackson slips and he's easily tackled by McTeague. Kevin Tamati this time, acting half back, on to Paul Bishop, to Gittins. Gittins runs straight. Kevin Tamati to Bishop. Ken Kelly. On Mark comes Mark Roberts, but he can't take the pass. And John Pendlebury retrieves it for Salford. Steve Moylan. Blease. McTeague. But Warrington immediately up on the Salford players. Darren Blow acting half-back to Peter Glynn. Glynn. But Glynn well tackled by Tamati and Jackson. Moylan once more acting half-back. But once again, 3 Warrington players in the tackle. Moylan. Darren Blow. Nice pass, nice kick by Ian Blease. Rick Thackeray come for it, lets it bounce. And the free kick to Warrington, obstruction there on Rick Thackeray by Kieran O'Loughlin. So, another free kick to Warrington. Paul Bishop will take the free kick. Once again, left-footed, and it's not successful. Well taken by Ian Marsh, coming across field, but it's taken well by Rick Thackeray. Steve Moylan. This time it's Disley, but once again, good tackling by Tom Gittins. This time it's Darren Blow. Darren Blow, though, is once again well tackled by, this time, Bob Jackson. Steve Moylan acting half-back for Salford. To Peter Glynn. A long pass to Beasley. Nice run before he's brought down by Mark Roberts. Darren Blow to Peter Glynn. Back to Blow. A long pass out to Kieran O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin. Well tackled though by Rick Thackeray and Paul Cullen. Sixth tackle this time for Salford. Played back to Peter Glynn, a long kick. Midfield, Brian Carbett has it and takes it well. Coming out of defence, and he's well tackled by McTeague and Ian Blease. This time it's Mike Gregory, but Mike Gregory knocks the ball on, and it'll be a scrum down. So, Salford scrum half, Darren Blow to feed. But referee Fox gives a free kick to Salford. So Peter Glynn, and that's a nice kick once more, putting Warrington back on their own try line. Steve Moylan this time, on to Roy Wiltshire. Wiltshire, well tackled though by Tommy Gittins. Steve Moylan acting halfback. Darren Blow, but meets Bob Jackson and Mark Roberts. Steve Moylan to Peter Glynn. Nice passing to full-back Paul Fletcher coming up in the line. Kieran O'Loughlin, Blease, Peter Glynn into Steve Herbert. But once again, it's Mark Roberts in the tackle. Steve Moylan. Darren Blow with the kick, but it goes straight across field, and Mark Foster takes it well. And tackle well by Paul Fletcher. Les Boyd goes himself, looks for the gap. Oh, he's finally brought down by Steve Herbert. Mike Gregory onto Tommy Gittins. Gittins makes about 5 yards before he's brought down. Kevin Tamati to Bishop, to Ken Kelly. Kelly cuts inside, gets the ball out to Mark Roberts. Beautiful pass, Mark Roberts now. But a good tackle by the Salford fullback Paul Fletcher. Mark Roberts loses the ball as he was about to play it, and it'll be a scrum down. But once again, a nice pass from Ken Kelly onto Mark Roberts. But Roberts just couldn't get past the Salford fullback Paul Fletcher. So once again, Darren Blow to feed the scrum. So Darren Blow once again to feed. And a free kick against Warrington, a leg up in the scrum. Gives Salford the free kick. So Peter Glynn with the kick for touch, and it's a good one. Referee Fox sending Moylan back. On to Steve Herbert. It was well tackled by Bob Jackson and Kevin Tamati. Moylan once more. Disley makes it to the Warrington 25. Peter Glynn. Nice pass to Ian Blease, cuts back inside, but Les Boyd and Kevin Tamati have him tackled, and in fact he loses the ball. A kick on from Gerald Bryan, and recovered well by Brian Carbett, and Brian Carbett clears his try line, but after all that, referee Mr Fox brings play back for a knock-on. Ken Kelly asking the referee about advantage, but referee Fox gives a scrum down. Paul Bishop feeds the ball, and he slips but recovers, and Warrington have possession inside their own 25. Mike Gregory comes away with the ball, well tackled by John Pendlebury. This time it's Tommy Gittins. Gittins makes it just to his own 25. This time it's Tamati. On to Bob Jackson. Jackson, good run. Once again, another good run there from Bob Jackson. This time Tamati plays it back to Paul Bishop. Paul Bishop with the kick. And it's on to Kevin Tamati. Tamati now away with the ball. He's got plenty of men up with him. Gives it to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly looking for support. Back to Tamati. On to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory now running across field. On to Mark Foster. Another chance here for Warrington. Dummies. But just can't get the ball out. Well tackled by number 5 for Salford, Roy Wiltshire. But Warrington now have 6 more tackles inside the Salford 25. This time it's Bishop. Gittins onto Ken Kelly. Paul Cullen inside to Brian Johnson. He shrugs off one man. Dummies back inside. This time it's picked up by Mark Roberts. But the referee has given a forward pass from Brian Johnson onto Mark Roberts. So a scrum down. So Darren Blow to feed for Salford. But the scrum collapses before we can get the ball in. So the pack will reform. And these scrums at the moment becoming very untidy as Darren Blow feeds once more. And it will be a Salford ball. Darren Blow ran across field, but well tackled by Mike Gregory. Kieran O'Loughlin makes it to his own 25. Darren Blow this time. On to Disley. Steve Moylan. Blees. Cuts back inside, but a good tackle there from Mark Roberts and Bob Jackson. Darren Blow back to Peter Glynn. Glynn once more with the kick. Goes past Brian Johnson, but he picks it up inside his own 25. Comes out of it well. Burst of speed there from Brian Johnson, still going. Great run there from Brian Johnson. Terrific burst of speed, taking him past 2 Salford players there. This time it's Gittins onto Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly tackled as he received the ball. This time it's Kevin Tamati acting halfback. Onto Bishop. Bishop onto Mark Roberts. But Salford players quickly up on play that time. Tamati onto Bishop. Ken Kelly. Les Boyd. Boyd drops the ball, and that's a knock on and a scrum down. So a scrum down, 10 yards inside the Warrington half. Darren Blow once more to feed. Peter Glynn. Up again comes Paul Fletcher. Beats Paul Cullen, out to Gerard Byrne, inside now to Roy Wiltshire, but good tackle by Brian Johnson. Fletcher once more acting half-back to Byrne, took it well. Glynn, back inside to Kieran O'Loughlin, but he's well tackled, gets the ball away, and Ken Kelly gets it for Warrington. Gittins onto Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts gets it back to Tommy Gittins. Gittins to Jackson. Out to Kevin Tamati. Tamati beats, shrugs off one man, still going. Nice pass out to Rick Thackeray. Rick Thackeray cuts back inside. Rick Thackeray still going, goes straight. Great burst of speed, takes him into the Salford half before he's finally tackled. Bishop to Gittins. Gittins inside. Tommy Gittins still going. Good run. Bishop acting half-back this time. To Ken Kelly. Brian Johnson up in attack, but he's brought down by McTeague. Mike Gregory to Bishop, to Ken Kelly. Jackson, but Jackson, good tackle by Darren Blow, so this is a 6th tackle now for Warrington. To Bishop. Bishop with the kick. Looks a good one to the corner, but Ian Marsh takes it for Salford. But it's a good tackle by Paul Cullen, but alleged by referee Fox to be a trip, so Salford have the free kick. And Ian Marsh is injured, and referee Fox stops the clock. as Ian Marsh receives treatment after Paul Cullen alleged to have tripped. Salford 0, Warrington 10. And Peter Glynn puts the ball once again into touch, and Salford once more have possession. Moylan, Disley, but once again good tackling by Tamati and Jackson. This time it's McTeague, but McTeague meets Les Boyd. Moylan to Blow, long pass out to Peter Glynn, but a good tackle by Paul Bishop on John Pendlebury. Peter Glynn, this time it's Ian Blease, but he can find no way through and being pushed back by Jackson and Gittins. Moylan, nice pass, but a good tackle from Ken Kelly. Sixth tackle this time for Salford. Moylan back to Peter Glynn. Glynn with the kick ahead, but Paul Bishop comes across and takes it well, and a high tackle there from Peter Glynn on Paul Bishop. One of those instances where the player's going past you and an outstretched arm brings the high tackle. Once again Fox stops the clock as Paul Bishop receives treatment. And Kevin Tamati takes the quick tap inside to Les Boyd, but three players on to Les Boyd. This time it's Jackson. Jackson looking for the gap and finds it well. Finally brought down by Moylan. Good run once more from Bob Jackson. Tamati to Bishop. Tommy Gittins can't get the ball back. Paul Bishop once more acting halfback. Sends it left with Ken Kelly. Back inside, well taken by Tamati, but the referee gives crossing and a scrum down. In fact, a forward pass. Did indicate crossing. It's his first decision, but anyway, it's a scrum down. Halfway and inside the Salford half. Once again, the referee not satisfied with the scrums as Darren Blow waits to feed, and feeding against Darren Blow gives Warrington the free kick. So differential penalty to Warrington. Paul Bishop with the kick, and it's a good one once more. Sets Warrington once more up on the attack. Once again, will it be a set move? Bishop takes it, Tamati, and this time it's on to Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts makes a few yards before he's brought down. Bishop, Gittins, but Gittins brought down. Paul Bishop to Mike Gregory, takes it well, cuts back inside and loses the ball, and it's well taken by Paul Fletcher for Salford. So Steve Moylan trying to bring it away for Salford, but brought down well by Paul Bishop. This time it's McTeague. This time it's Disley, and this time he clears his own 25. Paul Fletcher acting halfback for Salford. Goes himself, looks for the gap, but a good tackle from Mike Gregory. Sixth tackle this time for Salford. Peter Glynn with the kick. Paul Cullen with it. And Brian Carvett picks it up. And tackled by centre Gerard Byrne for Salford. This time it's Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly going across field, beats one man. Before he's brought down by Steve Moylan. Tamati onto Gittins, but Gittins can't take the pass. And once again another scrum down. Once again, blow to feed for Salford, and Salford get possession this time. Peter Glynn onto Fletcher coming up in attack. Nice pass out to Byrne, but good tackle from Mike Gregory. Good tackle there from Mike Gregory, coming across well on Gerard Byrne. Kieran O'Loughlin. This time Ian Blease, but once again 3 Warrington players in the tackle. And well taken there by Gerard Byrne. He's away, so he got Johnson to beat, and he beats him. And Gerard Byrne will go in for a try. Warrington seemed asleep from that play of the ball. He spotted the gap and went past Brian Johnson, and Salford score. So a try just before half time by Gerard Byrne of Salford brings them back into the game. And that takes the score to Salford 4, Warrington 10.
Come on, get on with it.
So John Pendlebury will attempt this conversion attempt immediately in front of the posts. And it's there, and Salford bring themselves back into this match. And in fact, right on half time, Gerard Byrne scores for Salford. And at half time the score is Salford 6, Warrington 10. Warrington try by Brian Johnson. And there, a try from Brian Carbett, conversion by Brian Carbett. Then just on half-time, Gerard Byrne going over for the try for Salford. And the goal from John Pendlebury. At half-time, Salford 6, Warrington 10. So the teams return for the second half. Warrington leading by 10 points to 6. A late try in the first half by Salford, bringing them back into this game. So a few players with clean jerseys on in the Salford side is John Pendlebury. Restarts the second half. Taken well by Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory there clears his own 25, who is brought down. This time it's Tamati, on to Jackson. And Jackson tackled straight away. This time it's Tamati, coming away with the ball. Good tackle by McTeague. This time it's Gittins, played back to Bishop. Bishop with the kick. And it's a good one, taken by Roy Wiltshire well. Recovered the ball well. This time it's number 8, Steve Herbert for Salford. Moylan on to Gary Disley, but Disley's well tackled by Rick Thackeray and Bob Jackson. Moylan goes himself from the play of the ball. Darren Blow, long pass to Peter Glynn. This time it's McTeague. McTeague can't hold it. Recovered by Fletcher. And Fletcher gets away from Tamati. Finally brought down by Mike Gregory and Mark Roberts. 6th tackle this time for Salford. Pendlebury. Pendlebury with the kick. Rick Thackeray's got it covered and takes it well. Rick Thackeray runs straight. And is tackled by Kieran O'Loughlin and Peter Glynn. Paul Cullen, Bishop, Gittins, and this time it's Jackson. Jackson just can't get away from the tackles. Bishop, Mark Roberts, well tackled once more by John Pendlebury. This time it's played back to Bishop, to Gittins. Gittins inside to Ken Kelly. Got a good tackle by Peter Glynn and McTeague. Bishop with the kick. Looks a good one, but the bounce favours Salford this time, and Ian Marsh takes it for Salford in his own 25. Straightens up and is well taken by Paul Cullen. McTeague clears his own 25 before he's tackled once again by Cullen and Ken Kelly. Moylan, Gary Disley, but Disley's tackled by Robertson Kelly. Moylan, Pendlebury with the kick. It looks a good one, but just too long. And ball back for a scrum down just outside the Salford 25. So Paul Bishop to feed for Warrington, and it's Warrington ball. Dummies, Paul Bishop goes himself, brought down by Darren Blow, but Bishop still going. Finally tackled by Blow. Mike Gregory onto Tamati. Tamati goes straight. Takes play once more inside the Salford 25. Mike Gregory this time's acting half back for Warrington. Gregory goes instead, cuts back inside, but is well tackled by McTeague. Tamati, Jackson runs straight. 3 Salford players once more in the tackle. Warrington on the attack now. Deep in the Salford 25, Tamati. Tommy Gittins. 6th tackle this time for Warrington. Tamati. This time it's Les Boyd coming through. Gets the ball out. And well taken by Steve Herbert. Gets it away to Kieran O'Loughlin. So now on the breakaway. But Kieran O'Loughlin, good tackle there from Jackson. Jackson good covering there on Kieran O'Loughlin to bring him down. Ian Marsh to Peter Glynn. Gary Disley brought down just outside his own 25. Steve Moylan once more. Peter Glynn. Pendlebury. Good tackle by Bishop, but he gets the ball away to Gerard Byrne. Byrne back inside to Wiltshire. Good tackling though from Carbett. Darren Blow to Peter Glynn. Back to Blow. Dummies, looks for the gap, gets it out to make McTeague. Good break here now for Salford. McTeague going across field. Good tackle though by Bishop, but it's picked up once more now for Salford. Fletcher to Peter Glynn. Peter Glynn straightens up. There's an overlap here for Salford. Kieran O'Loughlin. Loughlin out to Ian Marsh. He's got Thackeray to beat, and Thackeray brings him down well. Good defence there. There's an overlap of Salford. Ian Marsh tried to go past Thackeray, but Thackeray had him well covered into touch. So a scrum down though, deep inside the Warrington 25. Paul Bishop will feed for Warrington. And a knock on somewhere in the scrum. And another scrum down. This time it'll be Blow to feed for Salford. And Bishop, oh, well played by Paul Bishop, seizing on that opportunity quickly as Darren Blow didn't see it. This time it's Kelly. Ken Kelly going across field, he's got overlap to his right. Kelly still going, pushes 2 men out. Ken Kelly still going. A long pass out to Brian Carbett. Well taken, one-handed behind him. Brian Carbett still going, gets it out to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory still going. Good float movement there from Warrington made by Ken Kelly. Bishop acting half back onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd charges forward. This time it's Tamati. Tamati goes himself to the right. Brought down well though by McTeague. This time it's Bishop. Ken Kelly gets it away to Roberts. Roberts takes it well, but he's brought down well by Moylan. This is the 6th tackle for Warrington. Bishop with the kick ahead. Fletcher takes it and is well tackled by Cullen, but Cullen was offside. So Salford get the free kick. Peter Glynn will put this one for touch. So Salford in their own 25, Moylan onto Steve Herbert. And as the sun makes an appearance here at the Wells, Salford have possession on their own 25. This time it's Darren Blow, Peter Glynn, onto McTeague, juggles with it and is well tackled. Darren Blow, Pendlebury with the kick. Brian Johnson takes it well. Brian Johnson runs straight, shrugs off. Okay, no, look at Brian Johnson's got the gap. Cuts back inside, Johnson's still going. Great run from Brian Johnson, going one way then the other. Warrington back in possession inside the Salford 25. Rick Thackeray's acting half-back. On to Paul Bishop, to Kelly. Kelly onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd got tackled by McTeague, but he gets it away to Ken Kelly. Long pass out to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory onto Brian Carbett. Brian Carbett back inside to Mark Foster, but Mark Foster can't take it. And Salford just shooting the ball. And in fact, it's Mike Gregory. What a scrum down. Mike Gregory goes over the try line. But a knock on by Warrington. What another good movement there from Warrington, swinging the ball from one wing to the other. And a scrum down halfway inside the Salford 25. Darren Blow will feed. And once again the referee not satisfied with the scrums. Darren Blow will feed once more. And it's a free kick to Warrington. So Paul Bishop will put the ball into touch, taking play nearer to that Salford try line. Might see another set move coming up here from Warrington. Tammy takes a quick tap. It's on to Tommy Gittins, running in straight, but a good tackle from Paul Fletcher. Warrington now on the attack. Bishop to Kelly. Kelly onto Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory gets it back to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly running backwards. Shrugs off 2 tackles. Ken Kelly still going, finally brought down. Fletcher. This time it's Cullen onto Mark Foster. Mark Foster brought down by Mick McTeague. Tamty this time's acting half-back. Onto Bishop, to Boyd. Boyd dummies, but can't get the ball away. This time it'll be Tamati acting half-back. Onto Gittins. Gittins long pass, but not taken by Warrington, and Brian Carbett retrieves it for Warrington. It's brought down, and this is a 6th tackle. So Warrington losing over 20 yards there, as this is the 6th tackle. Bishop with the high kick, it's a good one. Brian Johnson's going for it, takes it well, drops it as he takes it. Warrington retrieve it, and it's there, but a knock on. Rick Thackeray dived over the line there, but the referee had already signified the knock on from Brian Johnson. So a scrum down 5 yards from the Salford line, just to the left of the posts. And it'll be Darren Blow to feed. Darren Blow feeds. Once again, referee not happy with the scrums. And the packs separate and pack down once more. Tamati not in the scrum. And these scrums have now been pushed right across, and in fact the free kick, after all that trouble, goes to Salford. Ken Kelly goes up to Mr. Fox, and Salford get another 10 yards. Darren Blow takes a quick tap. Out to Peter Glynn, a long pass, Ian Marsh takes it. Les Boyd's coming across, Ken Kelly comes across, and has him well tackled. Just below our commentary position. This time it's O'Loughlin to Darren Blow, to McTeague, Moylan. Good tackle low by Mark Roberts. And 3 Warrington players push Moylan back. Darren Blow to Peter Glynn. Pendlebury, good tackle, but he gets the ball away to Gary Disley. Gary Disley now takes play inside the Warrington half. Ken Kelly tries, and it's out to Gerald Byrne, but Gerald Byrne can't hold the pass. And Matt Foster retrieves it, good play, and in fact the touch judge is now on. Mr. Hewitt. with the yellow flag, and I think he might go to that incident where John Pendlebury's lying on the floor. Look, as he released the ball, Matt Gregory went in after the tackle. And the referee and linesman having a long talk. And in fact, he's gone over Brian Johnson. So Mr. Fox will give a talking to from Brian Johnson. Calls over Ken Kelly, Warrington captain. And a long talking to Brian Johnson from Mr. Fox. And the free kick is going to go to Salford, I think. And it does. So Salford have the free kick with the score at Salford 6, Warrington 10. So Peter Glynn puts the ball inside the Warrington 25. Chance here for Salford. Moylan on to Disley. Good tackle this time from Tamati. Blow on to Steve Herbert. But once again, 3 Warrington players in the tackle. Moylan, Glynn, Pendlebury, Glynn. Nice pass out to McTeague. On to Roy Wiltshire. Roy Wiltshire going in the corner. Roy Wiltshire beat 2 men on that wing and goes in for a try in the corner. Once again, slack tackling. Let's Salford in for the try. Went past Brian Carver on that wing and in at the corner and brings the scores up to Salford 10, Warrington 10. So out on that far touchline, John Pendlebury will try and take Salford into the lead for the first time. So line his kick up. It's a good kick, but just to the wide of the posts. So the scores, Salford 10, Warrington 10. And this match now really boiling over now to be a fantastic match. Paul Bishop will restart. Salford 10, Warrington 10. Both sides scoring 2 tries and 1 goal as Bishop restarts. Mick McTeague stops it with his foot and is tackled well by 3 Warrington players. Tamati, Roberts and Foster on their tackle. Moylan goes blindside but meets Mark Foster and he's tackled well with the help of Kevin Tamati. Pendlebury, good tackle there by Kevin Tamati. This time it's Pendlebury. Pendlebury once more with the kick. Johnson's coming over to get this one and takes it well. Warrington back in possession as Johnson, but he's well tackled by Peter Glynn, the Salford standoff. Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly looks for a gap, but is brought down short of the Salford 25. Tamati this time's acting halfback. Sends it right with Bishop onto Tommy Gittins. But Gittins is well tackled. This time it'll be Bishop. Goes himself looking for the gap, he finds it, and he's got Tommy Gittins coming, he's got Les Boyd in fact, and Les Boyd goes for a try to the left of the post, beautifully made by Bishop. Les Boyd scores a beautiful try there to the left of the post, beautifully made by Paul Bishop. Paul Bishop straight from the play the ball, found the gap, sent it to his left with where Les Boyd was up in support, and Les Boyd went Over for the try just to the left of the posts. So Brian Carbett. Another easy goal kick attempt as Warrington regain the lead. Salford 10, Warrington 14. The try scorer, number 8, Les Boyd. So Brian Carbett. With a conversion attempt, and it's there. Makes the score Salford 10, Warrington 16. So John Pendlebury to restart for Salford. A long kick, Ken Kelly stops it with his foot. Safety first. Dummies. And it's brought down well by Steve Herbert. This time it's Mike Gregory. Warrington playing it through the forwards. Tamati clears his own 25 before he's brought down by Gerard Byrne. This time it'll be Tommy Gittins acting halfback, onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd beats one man, tries to get the ball away to Paul Cullen, who's up in support. But Gerard Byrne stops him doing that. It's played back to Paul Bishop. Paul Bishop with the kick across field. Goes over the head of Paul Fletcher. And Paul Fletcher picks the ball up. And he's well tackled by Mark Roberts. Plays the ball quickly, and Mark Roberts picks the ball up as Paul Fletcher tried to play the ball quickly, and Mark Roberts penalised by referee Fox. So Peter Glynn puts the ball into touch once more and gives Salford possession. Moylan takes it on to Steve Herbert, but Herbert's well tackled. Bob Jackson, Mike Gregory all in the tackle. Nice dummy by Moylan, but well tackled by Mike Gregory. Darren Blow with the kick through. It's a chance, King and Darren Blow's away, but Mark Foster's on it for Warrington. Well played there from Mark Foster. This time it's Tommy Gittins coming away with it. Clears his own 25 once more. Tamati, Bishop dummies, looking for the gap, and just can't get away from the attentions of Mick McTeague. Tamati onto Ken Kelly. Kelly onto Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts gets the ball back to Kelly, onto Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen now takes play once more into the Salford half, inside to Rick Thackeray, but Rick Thackeray beats the attentions of McTeague. Rick Thackeray going across field, beats three men, finally brought down by Disley. Good run there from between Cullen and Thackeray. Tamati onto Bishop, to Gittins. Gittins onto Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory coming back in field. This is a sixth tackle. Onto Bishop. Bishop onto Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly back inside to Boyd. Boyd looking for support, plays it back. Mark Roberts kicks it across field, and Rick Thackeray will pick it up for Warrington. And with the kick for touch, and it's successful, and that'll be a scrum down just short of the Salford 25. So Salford heading ball. Darren Blow feeds for Salford, and it's Salford ball. Darren Blow goes himself. Good tackle though by Mike Gregory and Ken Kelly. Fletcher this time onto Peter Glynn. Pendlebury onto Kieran O'Loughlin, but O'Loughlin's well tackled. Salford this time. Byrne. Pendlebury. Good tackle by Paul Cullen. And the touch judge is on. Paul Cullen and Mike Gregory in the tackle that time. And a free kick to Salford. Tackle round the neck, says referee Fox. Peter Glynn puts the ball into touch once again inside the Warrington half. Salford 10, Warrington 16. Steve Moylan takes the tap. onto Disley, but a good tackle, but he gets the ball away, goes loose, picked up by Steve Herbert, fumbles the ball, and the knock on, and that'll be a scrum down just inside the Warrington half. Paul Bishop this time to feed. And Salford have the ball, knock on by Darren Blow, sorry. So Salford lose possession. So Bishop once more to feed. And a scrum, once again up to Mr. Fox's liking. Bishop feeds, and it'll be a Warrington ball out to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly cuts inside and is brought down by Fletcher and Glynn. This time it's Gregory, on to Gittins. Gittins running straight, but just can't hold on to the ball. It'll be picked up by Fletcher, but Mark Foster's on him straight away. Salford back in possession. Darren Blow. Ian Blees. 3 Warrington players in the tackle. Steve Moylan out to Peter Glynn. Glynn looking for the gap, long pass out to McTeague. McTeague tackled by Bishop, but gets the ball away to O'Loughlin, and Loughlin's well tackled by Paul Cullen. Ian Marsh coming across field looking for the gap, but Paul Cullen back to tackle well with the assistance of Ken Kelly. O'Loughlin to Pendlebury. Peter Glynn back inside to Steve Herbert. Steve Herbert going across field, but meets Paul Cullen, and Paul Cullen tackles in well. 6th tackle this time for Salford. Pendlebury with the kick. It's into space. Brian Carbett comes for it and takes it on the run, and Brian Carbett, and he looks for the gap, tries to get away. His pass, it'll be taken up by Tamati. Tamati into Les Boyd, but Boyd's brought down. Tamati onto Mike Gregory. Gregory beats one man. Finally brought to the floor. And once again, the touch judge onto the field, and the free kick will go to Warrington. Infringement against Gary Disley of Salford. Bishop then with the kick for touch, and it's a good one. Takes play once more into the Salford 25. Tamati once more with the tap. Once again, looks like a run-around move. Tamati onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd charges in, knocks off one man. Finally brought down. Warrington once again on the attack. Bishop. Kelly. Kelly, though, tackled as soon as he gets the ball. Tamati. Bob Jackson. Tamati once more. On to Tommy Gittins coming through. A strong tackle, and Gittins loses the ball. Tamati's regained it, and that'll be a scrum down for the knock-on by Tommy Gittins. Darren Blow to feed. And that's a Salford ball. Darren Blow coming away with it. But Mike Gregory and Mark Roberts in the tackle. Pendlebury bringing the ball away from the play of the ball. He's met by Bob Jackson. This time it's O'Loughlin. But O'Loughlin's well tackled by Mike Gregory and Paul Bishop. McTeague acting halfback. Gets away from Bishop, but meets Ken Kelly. And he's tackled with the assistance of Cullen, Gregory. Moylan back to Darren Blow, to Glynn. Pendlebury. Pendlebury, nice pass on to Disley. Disley breaks one tackle, but is well tackled by Les Boyd. 6th tackle this time for Salford. Gerard Byrne with the kick. Into space, but Brian Johnson has it for Warrington. Johnson goes straight, beats one man. Finally brought down by Peter Glynn. This time it's Bishop out to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly long pass out to Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen well tackled over by Kieran O'Loughlin. Thackeray's this time acting halfback. goes himself, goes across field, beats one man, looks for the gap, still going, great run by Rick Thackeray, dodging off one man, Thackeray still going, knocks off another. Good run by Rick Thackeray there. Shugged off about 4 or 5 men before he was finally tackled.
Get him offside.
This time it's Gittins. Gittins goes straight, makes good ground before he's finally brought down. Tamati's acting half-back this time. Sends it left with Ken Kelly. Out to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory gets the ball away to Bob Jackson. Jackson on to Johnson, back inside to Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen straightens up. Paul Cullen, though, finally brought down by McTeague. 6th tackle this time. Jackson to Paul Bishop. Bishop attempts to drop goal. And it's just to the left of the posts. Well worth the attempt. It would have meant Salford would have to score tries if that went over, but Salford have a trap. From their own 25, Moylan on to Pendlebury. But Pendlebury meets Tommy Gittins and Ken Kelly. Darren Blow on to McTeague. But McTeague's well tackled by Tamati and Gittins. Moylan dummies, but then meets Les Boyd and Tommy Gittins and is easily tackled. Darren Blow goes himself looking for the gap, out to Peter Glynn. Long pass out to Pendlebury. He's got many support, Fletcher, Gerard Byrne, but good tackle by Mark Foster. Fletcher once more. Pendlebury, long pass out to Peter Glynn. Glynn, Disley, on to Kieran O'Loughlin, but he's well tackled by Ken Kelly and Jackson. Warrington playing well in defence at the moment. 6th tackle this is. And that's a knock on and the scrum down. So it'll be Paul Bishop to feed. And it's Warrington ball. Bishop looking for the gap, but he's sandwiched between Darren Blow and Peter Glynn. This time it's Kelly. Kelly on to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory cuts back inside, beats one man. Gregory still going before he's brought down. Just inside the Salford 25. Mark Roberts out to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly on to Jackson. Jackson makes ground. Back inside the Salford 25. Tamati's acting half-back this time. To Kelly. Back to Tamati. On to Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts gets it back to Kelly. Kelly, a long pass, it's a good one, can Thackeray get it? A good attempt, but just couldn't take the ball. And that'll be another scrum down. And we've got an injury to Tommy Gittins, the Warrington second rower. So Gittins receiving treatment, and it looks like his shoulder. It looks like a bad injury this to Tommy Gittins. And Tommy Gittins, after a good performance in the second row this afternoon, goes off the field. And he'll be replaced by number 15, Dave Allen. So Dave Allen comes onto the field. I'll immediately go into the second row. So the scrum down once more, Darren Blow feeds, and it's a Salford ball. And Darren Blow can't get away from Bishop, but he gets the ball away, and Bishop tackles Pendlebury well. Moylan on to Disley, and Disley's well tackled by Mark Roberts. Moylan to Pendlebury. McTeague, who's just been announced as man of the match for Salford, and he's tackled by Mike Gregory, but McTeague had already knocked the ball on. So once again, another scrum down inside the Salford 25. Paul Bishop to feed. And the Salford ball. Darren Blow comes away with it, looks for the gap and loses the ball, and it's picked up. It's going to be picked up by Rick Thackeray, and Warrington have possession. The referee has fell down in the scrum, much to the amusement of the crowd as Mike Gregory makes ground inside the Salford 25. Warrington back on the attack. Tamati onto Jackson. Jackson goes in straight, makes good ground once more. Once again, Tamati's at acting halfback. Onto Bishop. Kelly running around onto Les Boyd. Les Boyd looks to get away with the ball when he does to Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen to Mark Roberts, but Mark Roberts is tackled as he receives the ball. Tamati's once again acting halfback. Goes himself back inside to Mike Gregory, but Mike Gregory's tackled. This is the 6th tackle. Tamati back to Bishop, steadies himself for the drop goal, and it's there. And Warrington now have a 7-point cushion. The drop goal from Paul Bishop.
Come on, Joe, get your bloody head up!
So that makes the score Salford 10, Warrington 17. Pendlebury restarts for Salford. And it will be picked up by Brian Carbett. Clears his own 25 before he's brought down. Dave Allen. Dave Allen makes a few yards before he's brought down. Tamati on to Paul Bishop. Mark Roberts. Mark Roberts smothered in the tackle. Tamati once again acting halfback. On to Jackson. Jackson once again tackled well. Tamati on to Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly with the kick ahead. And he's obstructed as he goes through, and the referee gives a free kick. And another 10 yards against Peter Glynn for talking. So Warrington have the free kick. So Brian Carbett will come across. And try and add a further 2 points to Warrington's score. So Brian Carbett. So Brian Carbett with his penalty attempt, and it's successfully made, and that makes the score Salford 10, Warrington 19. So we move into the last 5 minutes of the match, and Warrington now with a 9-point cushion. Pendlebury once again kicks deep. And well taken by Mike Gregory on the run. Beats one man before he's brought down. And in fact loses the ball, and Salford in possession. A pass out to Fletcher. Takes it well, but is well tackled by Paul Bishop. And that will be a free kick to Salford against Paul Bishop, pushing Paul Fletcher. So Peter Glynn has the ball, and we'll put this one into touch. And it's just squeezes in on that far side, and Salford in possession. Moylan takes the tap, goes himself inside to McTeague. McTeague runs straight. Salford now in possession in the Warrington 25. Darren Blow. A long pass. Will be taken by Blease. And Blease is tackled on the 25, and Salford lose about 10 yards. This time it's Byrne onto Moylan. But Moylan's well tackled by Ken Kelly and Mark Roberts. Gerard Byrne on to Darren Blow. Glynn back to Darren Blow, but he's well tackled by Bob Jackson. Peter Glynn sends it right this time, and Disley loses the ball, and Mark Roberts comes away with it. So Warrington back in possession inside their own 25. Les Boyd's acting halfback. On dummies to Tamati, and Les Boyd just about clears his own 25. Kevin Tamati is acting half-back. Tamati running across field. Fully's brought down by Disley and Jared Byrne. Bishop onto Ken Kelly. Dave Allen. Dave Allen pushes one man off, and Dave Allen with the break. Fully's brought down by Steve Herbert. This time it's Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly looking for the gap, but there's nobody in support. BB's one man. Ken Kelly still going. Takes play inside the Salford half onto Paul Cullen. Paul Cullen still going. He's got Rick Zachary up with him. Paul Cullen's going all the way. Still Paul Cullen. Good run. Good run there from Paul Cullen. This is the 6th tackle. Rick Zachary takes it onto Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly to Mike Gregory. Mike Gregory looking for the gap. So still Mike Gregory going. Gets it out, but Tamati just can't take the final pass. But a good run early on there from Cullen. Looked to have had the beating of the two Salford players on the left hand side, but it was just brought down. So a scrum halfway inside the Salford 25. Blow to feed. And it's a Salford ball out to Fletcher. And Fletcher, a nice dummy, and Fletcher's away. And he's got the beating. Fletcher's still going. Back inside to Kieran O'Loughlin. Kieran O'Loughlin, nice move there, but a good tackle by Johnson, and O'Loughlin loses the ball. Good cover tackle there from Johnson. Johnson, who had been beaten early on by Fletcher, recovered his ground well and tackled Kieran O'Loughlin. And Loughlin lost the ball. So once again, another scrum down. Halfway inside the Warrington half. Paul is well tackled by Darren Blow. Did well not to go into touch. So Bishop with the kick for touch goes in front of us here, and Warrington have possession just inside the Salford half. Tamati to take the tap on to Bob Jackson. Moving now to the final minute of this First Division match as Dave Allen has the ball. Good run by Dave Allen. This time it's Les Boyd. Les Boyd. 3 Salford players once more in the tackle. This time it'll be Tamati acting halfback. Tamati sends it left with Paul Bishop. Bishop to Ken Kelly. Onto Mark Roberts on the burst. But Mark Roberts is tackled by Kieran O'Loughlin. Ken Kelly once more acting halfback. On to Bishop, back to Kelly. Kelly on to Tamati. This is the 6th tackle. Kelly's gone to acting halfback. On to Bishop. Bishop with the kick for touch, and it's a good one. Lovely kick there from Paul Bishop. Saw the gap out on that wing. And his perfect kick into touch. And there goes the hooter, no time for the scrum. And Warrington win here by 19 points to 10. Warrington's tries coming from Johnson, Carbett and Boyd. 3 goals from Carbett, a drop goal from Bishop. Salford, 2 tries, 1 from Byrne, 1 from Wiltshire, 1 goal from Pendlebury. And the final score here at the Willows, Salford 10, Warrington 19.
Do some knowledge up to you on this performance today as possible championship winner?
I don't think.
We're talking about Warrington.
Yeah, I don't think Warrington will finish top of the league. I think they'll finish